Well, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to present OSSIO to you all late in the day here. I'm Brian Verrier. I'm the CEO of OSSIO with now more than 30 years in the medical device space, and many of those years, what I would say on the buy side of early stage or startup technologies. And frankly, the reason why I joined OSSIO about 4 years ago. OSSIO is that rare opportunity that avoids the typical but very real commercial barriers to market access and adoption. We have a validated and very healthy market need that has existed for decades. We have a differentiated and a diversified portfolio offering with very compelling economics, a clear regulatory path. The products that we bring to market are all Class 2, 510K, not de novo. There's existing reimbursement in all sites of service, outpatient, inpatient, hospital, and the ambulatory surgical centers. There's no change to surgical technique, no need to train surgeons or retrain surgeons, and certainly no need to spend the tens of millions of dollars to do that. And we have immediate access to very experienced distribution channels. So who are we? Our mission is to transform the orthopedic experience by enabling a more intelligent way to return patients to mobility. Osteofiber Intelligent Bone Regeneration is a proprietary technology platform that combines both the desired strength, or the required strength for an implant, with the ability for bone to rapidly and continuously regrow and ultimately replace the implant without any adverse biological response. We have a very broad and comprehensive IP portfolio covering mainly composition, structure, and architecture, filed all over in all major markets throughout the world. We were founded about 6.5 years ago in about 40 miles north of Tel Aviv. And today we have 50 employees, 40 of which are in Israel and Caesarea, and we have about 10, 11 now employees here in the United States. Key milestones to date, we've raised $40 million over the last 6.5 years. We are this year, by the end of the year, we'll be looking to close a C round somewhere in the range of 15 or 20 million to accelerate the commercialization of multiple product platforms. We initiated a first-in-human study back in December 2018. Today, more than half of those patients have been followed to 1 year. We received our first 510K clearance from the US FDA for the Osteofiber bone fin family in January 2019 and commercialized our first product, limited commercial offering in May. And to date, we now have actually upwards of 460 implantations. So I'm sure everybody is aware that for a century now, metal has been the standard of care, but permanent hardware creates a suboptimal environment for healing, leading certainly to patient dissatisfaction, and as importantly, increasing healthcare costs due to postoperative complications often associated with permanent implants, and many of which require a secondary procedure to remove the hardware. So as I said, this need or the desire is not new. Industry has attempted for years, but has had challenges in developing a viable solution, that solution being providing both the desired strength and complete biointegration. And biointegration is defined as rapid and continuous ingrowth with complete replacement without any adverse biological response to the foreign body or the degradation process. We feel Osteofiber has hit the sweet spot. Osteofiber material is about 2.5 to 3 times as stronger than other novel materials that you see here in the lower quadrants, and rivals the strength of metal. So this is a new technology platform called Biointegrative, again providing desired strength with the ability for the bone to rapidly grow and ultimately replace the implant. This avoids all of the risks and costs associated with complications of permanent implants. We have an endless pipeline of new products we can manufacture with the material that can apply to all different indications, applications within the orthopedic segments. And we utilize existing reimbursement structures and no need to retrain or train surgeons on new techniques. So Osteofiber Intelligent Bone Regeneration Technology has a proprietary composition and microarchitecture. It's consisting of multi-layered continuous natural mineral fibers that are suspended. You can see here, illustration on the left. Oh, that's the wrong one. Now we have to go back here. All right. Wrong button. Sorry about that. So on the left here, you can see kind of an illustration of the multi-layered continuous mineral fibers. On the right is kind of an illustration of the mechanism of action, which as the polymer of which is used to suspend the mineral fibers is resorbing very quickly, the native bone finds this attractive because the mineral fibers that you find in our fiber consist of the same minerals that you would see or find in native bone. So very quickly, bone-forming cells, mesenchymal cells, begin to infiltrate the mineral fibers of the implant. We demonstrated this in a 2-year animal study, showed excellent biointegration. What you see here is on the top, the control. This was a controlled 2-year study using a traditional PLDLA polymer pin, 100% polymer pin, and on the bottom is the Osteofiber bio-integrative technology. At each time point here, 13 weeks, then again at 6 months to a year, year and a half, and 2 years, you can see on the bottom using staining to detect these early bone-forming cells or mesenchymal cells, there's a lot of biological activity with Osteofiber, as opposed on the top with the control, there's very little, in fact none early on at each time point. Until you get to about 78 weeks, you do see some biologic activity, mainly following the cracks in the polymer as the control device begins to degrade. With Osteofiber, you see a very natural and continuous degradation, incorporation, continuous ingrowth of bone-forming cells, mature bone matrix. Ultimately, at 2 years, you're left with just normal native bone, where you see here completely healthy cortex as well as medullary. We moved from the animal to the clinic. Again, as I mentioned, in December 2018, we initiated a study in 2 sites in Europe. The primary endpoint of 26 weeks, 6 months, was completed in the fall. This is a study using the Osteofiber pin technology for hammer toe correction surgery, 25 subjects. Fusion rates that we saw at 6 months were well above what you would find in the literature. And in fact, at a year now, with about a half dozen to 10 patients that have already come back, we see that spike even in fusion rates above 90%. No adverse events were reported. There was 100% favorable clinical outcome. All measurable pain and functionality scores were significantly above the baseline, and all patients were very, very happy with their procedure. So these markets, these are massive markets. There's a massive addressable market opportunity where the unmet needs are clear. As you can see here, and I won't go through them all, each on their own are large, but combined, certainly greater than $10 billion here in the United States. Our approach is to look at this segment to segment. So our initial strategy is to launch into the foot and ankle segment, followed then very quickly in early 2021 and throughout 2021 into the sports market. A straightforward go-to-market strategy and scale-up distribution. Our first, as I suggested, was moving into the foot and ankle segment, specifically the $1 billion forefoot market with the flagship Osteofiber implants, which will be packaged in disposable instrumentation kits. This particular market has very low barrier to entry. They use existing surgical techniques, reimbursement codes already are in place, and distribution channels are very well established. We have a hybrid distribution model where we hire our own Osteo sales directors, and they develop their network of independent distributors. These are folks that exist in the market today, selling into the foot and ankle space, have very strong relationships with surgeons, and have easy access. Moving then into sports, we may consider a different strategy. Sports market has unique aspects where we would likely consider a larger regional or national strategic distributor. But from this point on, it's really about launching with a significant cadence of new products. There's also a lot of focus with our team in Israel and scaling up manufacturing to deal with the volumes that we'll have now over the next couple of years. And then also our dedication to the science side, continuing to do more and more research in the preclinical models and more of a portfolio in the human clinical study strategy as well. So as I suggested back in May, we initiated our limited offering of the Osteofiber hammer toe implant. The early indications of commercial success are strong. We have no, in fact, we have the opportunity to be highly selective with the distributors we want to work for. They see this as a highly differentiated offering in their portfolio of products that they carry every day. We have 150 distributors trained, ready to go. The distributors, about half or a third of those are actively selling. They're getting a premium pricing in the market, demonstrating the value proposition of the technology. We have just under 100 surgeons that have done a procedure to date. About 50% or more of those have done repeat procedures with very high satisfaction rates. In fact, in my career, probably the highest I've seen for new technologies. And as I said, 450 implantations to date, and we're running it with just a limited offering of product today in the market. We're doing roughly 30 cases a week. So this is ramping very quickly. We'll see the spike, I won't go through this, but certainly a spike in revenue is all driven by the products that we bring to market over the next 18 months. The margins are very, very healthy in their own right, but given the volumes easily surpassing 80%. This is a snapshot of our technology center in Caesarea, Israel, which is about 40 miles north of Tel Aviv. We have a fully integrated R&D, engineering, manufacturing group. Our quality, regulatory, medical affairs all are in Israel as well. So in conclusion, we see this as a rare and transformative opportunity within MedTech to change the standard of care. This proprietary technology platform, highly differentiated portfolio offering, a validated market need that has already existed, a very experienced management team, and a direct path to market. Thank you very much.